Mel, where are you right now? Where did your clothes and all your stuff go? Place is empty. Frankie's room too! Everything's gone! What's going on? Where did you and Frankie go?
Hello, Jay. I know this is sudden and might come as a surprise, but me and Frankie won't be coming back home.
What?
I met someone else. We're getting a divorce. Don't worry, I'll only be taking Frankie. You can keep Anthony.
What? Where the hell did this come from? What's going on? Why?
I'm doing this for Frankie's benefit. Let's face it, Jay, our son is a genius. He's always at the top of his class, he loves to study, he excels at every sport he tries, everything he touches turns to gold. He wins the school art and music competitions every single year, too. There's no doubt about it, he's genuinely gifted. Which is why I think he deserves to be raised in the best environment possible and receive a superb education worthy of such high intellect. That's why he needs someone who's capable of providing financially for him. Let's face it, Jay, that's not you, is it? I'm sorry, but our son deserves better than what you can give him.
What? I'm not filthy rich, so you're divorcing me and moving out with my son all of a sudden? I don't understand the logic. We have food on the table, do we not? I thought we were getting by. And why do you only want Frankie? None of this makes any sense. How do you think this is gonna make Anthony feel? Have you even thought about that? This is basically the same as saying, hey son, you're not as smart as your brother, so I'm abandoning you. See ya!
It's not basically the same. That's really what I'm doing. He's a good-for-nothing dullard that will never amount to anything. He's a failure of a human being, son or not. What benefit is there in having someone like that around?
What? How can you say that? Anthony is not a failure of a human being.
Yes, he damn well is. His grades are below average in literally everything. He sucks at studying, he's so clumsy he doesn't even get picked in team sports, he's useless. He never won a single prize at school. No, it's worse than that. He never won a single thing in his life. How could he be described as anything other than a failure of a human being?
Stop speaking about him like that! Anthony's doing his best. He works so hard and tries to meet your expectations of him. Just because he might not always meet them doesn't mean he's not trying. He skips on sleep to study, damn it! Besides, his grades might not be the best, but they did start going up over the last year.
Maybe they did start going up a little recently, but they're still only slightly above average. If that's the best he can do when he pushes his limits, he is obviously not cut out for anything special. Face it, he lost the dice roll. Frankie got the clever genes. All the study in the world is meaningless without results. Frankie's always been a natural at whatever he does. How did his big brother end up so useless? If we're honest, he'll only end up holding Frankie back. Do you want to end up with 2 failed children?
Come on, are you seriously saying we should separate them? They're brothers and they love each other. They get on like a house on fire. How do you think they'd feel about being torn apart? They're still in elementary and middle school, for crying out loud. It would crush them and you know it.
Frankie would be more crushed by growing up to be a failure and realizing it was all because he received the poisonous influence of his loser brother for far too long. We have to be courageous enough to make the decision now, before it's too late. Anyway, whether you like it or not, it's already decided. I'm taking Frankie because he's gifted, he's going to do great things one day. My new boyfriend is very wealthy. He's the CEO of a major donut chain, but he doesn't have any kids of his own. He said if Frankie can maintain his excellent grades until he graduates college, he'll adopt him and appoint him as successor to his company. And the cream of the intellectual crop, with the support of my new boyfriend, he'll be receiving a world-class education of the kind that most people can only dream of. Then one day, he'll be part of the business elite, the backbone of America. Which is precisely why he can't be allowed to associate with a pair of brain-dead morons like you two for 1 second longer. Me and Frankie are moving up in the world. And me and you will be cutting all ties.
Just wait a sec, Mel. You don't just get to decide something like this all on your own. I won't accept it.
I don't care whether you accept it or not. Whatever you say, I'm absolutely not taking his moron brother. I wouldn't if you paid me. I hope you and Anthony enjoy your new life together. It might be hard, what with you two having a combined IQ of less than 50 and all, but good luck. Goodbye forever. Hello, Jay. It's been a while. It's me, Mel.
What do you want after all this time? Go away.
I'd rather you weren't so rude. I was thinking of celebrating today, so I gave you a call. I heard the news about Anthony getting into med school. That's my boy. I always knew he'd do great things. He's got brains just like his mother. I can't tell you how proud this makes me.
Oh, that's strange. I could have sworn you were calling him every name under the sun when we last spoke 5 years ago. Good-for-nothing loser, brain dead, a failure of a human being. You cast us both aside like pieces of trash.
He really was a failure back then, though. I mean, come on, Jay. His grades were below average. Let me tell you, though, I was astonished when I heard he'd made it into med school. My jaw practically hit the floor. But you know what? Deep down, I always knew that he had what it took to go the distance, to really do something amazing with his life.
You've got some nerve, woman. The only reason you want to snuggle up to him now is because he got into med school. I can read you like a book. You're as shallow as you are naive. He doesn't need you to celebrate for him. Now get lost.
Oh, wait, just wait. That's not all I wanted to say. There's something else we have to talk about.
There is? You mean you have more nonsensical crap to bore me with? Today must be my lucky day, huh?
Stop being so difficult and just listen. It's about Frankie. You know how his grades were so excellent back when I took him 5 years ago? Well, I'd like to trade him for Anthony.
Excuse me?
No one could deny he was the shame of our family back then. He was so clumsy, it was like he had 2 left feet, which naturally made him useless at sports, and his academic ability was even worse. But now he's in med school, I have absolutely no problem with acknowledging him as my son. Rather than betting everything on Frankie, whose performance at this point is so pathetic, he might not even make it past his college entrance exams. I think it would make more sense to invest our hopes for the future in Anthony, who's already proven he's the one who's going places by getting into med school. My husband agreed. He said if he's clever enough to get into med school, he'd have no problem with allowing him to live with us. Look, basically, you need to give me Anthony.
Wow. Just when I thought you couldn't sink any lower, you speak about our boys like they're racehorses.
I get it. Maybe there's a better way to say it, but when you think about it realistically, children are basically racehorses, aren't they? My life will change enormously depending on whether my sons succeed or not. It's only natural to want to hedge your bets on the promising one. You get that, right?
Like hell I do! You're twisted! Anthony isn't some tool solely existing to provide you with a comfortable life. Not only did you snatch Frankie away from his dad and brother, but now you're trying to manipulate Anthony like he's some pawn on a chessboard?
Fine. If you don't want to give me Anthony, let's trade.
What?
I'll give you Frankie if you give me Anthony. Frankie might still only be in high school, but it is one of the most prestigious high schools in the country. I'll even cover all his tuition fees and send you regular child support payments. You can't say fairer than that. I think this is a really favorable trade for you.
Wow, just hold on a sec. You want us to trade sons? What are they, Pokemon cards? Are you insane? How could you do that to Frankie? I thought you loved him.
You'll probably find it eventually, so I may as well just tell you the truth. But Frankie moved out half a year ago.
He did what?
He was doing great until middle school. Top grades, always winning competitions and prizes. He was the golden boy. But when he moved up to high school, he met a girl on social media who clearly must have poisoned his mind. Because not long after they met, he left home. He did carry on going to school for a little while, and he did used to message me every now and then, but eventually he stopped showing up, and even if I went to meet him or lied in wait where he couldn't see me, nothing. I have no idea where he went and have no way of getting him back.
Frankie did that?
My husband flipped a switch. I've never seen him so furious. He invested so much in that boy's education so he could be his successor and inherit the company one day. To think all it took to destroy it was some bimbo. He threatened to divorce me if I couldn't get Frankie back.
No way. So the only reason you want Anthony is as a replacement for Frankie? You're using him as a tool to avoid getting divorced?
If I'm completely honest, yes. We had an arrangement. My husband, being childless, said that if I could provide him with an adoptive son and successor to his company, he'd promise me a life of luxury as a celeb trophy wife. If I don't hurry up and find him a replacement, I'm gonna be on the streets.
I didn't know it was actually possible for a single human being to be this despicable. You make me sick. I have no words. To think part of me actually thought you were being sincere back then when you said you were doing what you did for Frankie. Turns out you were only ever thinking about yourself. Does your selfishness know no bounds?
You can say what you want about me, I don't care. Are you gonna give me Anthony or not? I might not be able to trade him for Frankie, but who knows, maybe he'll go and live with you voluntarily. If Anthony can get into med school after being such a failure, anything's possible. Maybe Frankie could even become a respectable human being again if he lived with you. So what's it gonna be? Will you give me him?
You must be deluded if you think even for a second I'm actually going to go along with this. You're something else. Time to wake up and smell the coffee. You're the one who got abandoned.
Huh?
You probably thought you were the one abandoning me and Anthony. But the only one who actually got abandoned is you.
What are you talking about? What does that mean?
Frankie probably finally saw through your unparalleled selfishness and decided he was better off making a life for himself rather than relying on his deluded and very likely sociopathic mother. Basically, he had enough of you and didn't want to be around you a moment longer.
There's no way Frankie would ever think that about me. He's a genius. How could anyone so wise and intelligent have a negative opinion of me?
He left precisely because he's wise and intelligent. He probably realized that he was doomed to a life of being used and manipulated if he stayed with you. So he made a break for it and abandoned you. That's my boy.
Oh my god. After we spent so much money on him.
Anyway, I won't be giving you Anthony, and we won't be doing any kind of trade. In fact, Anthony is adamant he never wants to see you again. I also have no intention of letting him come anywhere near someone as dangerous as you. You can beg me as much as you like. I'm simply going to ignore you, and I will absolutely not be helping you. Leave us alone. Forever.
No, wait, please. I'm gonna be in so much trouble if you don't help me. Please, I won't have anywhere to live. If I can't provide my husband with a replacement son, his company will be successorless. What do you propose he do about that, huh?
Oh, is that my problem? Nope. That has precisely zero to do with me and my sons. Zilch. Nada.
Please, Jay, I'm begging you. Will you at least let Anthony meet my husband? He can do what he likes as long as he agrees to inherit the company. If he doesn't, I'm gonna get kicked out. I'll be homeless. Could you live with yourself? Be honest, could you?
Yes, very easily. It's actually kind of ironic, isn't it? You called Anthony a failure of a human being for so long, but ultimately, you're only capable of getting by begging from and sponging off of others. Looks like you were the one that failed a human being all along. After that, Mel showed up at my front door after driving a very long way to try and persuade me. Or should I say, my old front door. I'd moved house 2 years back and made a point of not telling her my new address. So I was surprised to hear from my old neighbor about the strange woman making a racket next door. Apparently, she gave up eventually, and her efforts to contact me and Anthony ended in vain. I heard she also went to the police to see if they'd help her find Frankie, but they told her no crime had been committed and refused to have anything to do with it. Ultimately, her worst fears came true. Her husband divorced her, and she was homeless. She somehow managed to scrape together the rent on a tiny cockroach-ridden apartment, and currently spends her days in the depths of poverty, probably contemplating where it all went wrong. By the way, there's something I should come clean about. Frankie moved in with me and his brother 6 months ago. The stress of his mother constantly restricting his freedom, combined with the pressure put on by him by her husband to take over his company, became too much to bear. In order to pull off this vanishing act, he pretended he met a girl online and had decided to go and live with her. Then, as he moved up to high school, he put together a bare minimum of essential items and came home to live with me and his brother. I know he's my son, but if I do say so myself, that was one hell of a move. I was in awe of his decisiveness and strength of will. With his mom getting divorced, he couldn't afford to stay at the original high school he moved up to, so he moved to another one near our house. Now, he's living comfortably while doing the things that he wants to do, living life on his own terms. As for Anthony, he was over the moon to be reunited with his brother. The three of us intend to live our lives in happiness and harmony from now on.